Hello students, as we have been reading chapter number 1, The Portrait of a Lady. The chapter is about the relationship between the narrator and his grandmother. So their relationship is divided into 3 phases. The first phase, when they lived in village, they had an intimate relationship and the grandmother used to look after the narrator. Then they shifted to the city house and it was a change in their relationship. This was the second phase in their relationship, which brought a change in their lives. So then the narrator, he started going to an English medium school and he started learning Western science, music and English words, etc. After that, the third phase starts when the narrator went to university for his further studies. And when he went to university, then he was given a separate room. So here today we will start from the paragraph number 2 on page number 5. So this is the third phase which is started and this is described by the narrator. When I went up to university, I was given a room of my own. When the narrator, he went to university for his degree course, then he was given a room of his own. Then he was given his separate room, his private room. Earlier, the grandmother and the narrator, they used to share the same room. But after that, the narrator, when he went to university, he was given a separate room. The common link of friendship was snapped. Now, the common link between the grandmother and him of friendship was snapped. There was a change in their relationship. There was a change in their friendship because now they would live in separate rooms. Now they would not be in close contact with each other. My grandmother accepted her seclusion with resignation. So the grandmother, she accepted her loneliness. Seclusion means loneliness. So she accepted her loneliness with resignation. She just accepted that thing without any effect. She rarely left after spinning wheel to talk to anyone. Left her spinning wheel. So she used to spin the wheel. Charkha kaatti thi wo. And after that, when there was a change in the relationship of her and the narrator, then she rarely left her spinning wheel and she rarely talked to anyone. From sunrise to sunset, she sat by her wheel spinning and reciting prayers. So from sunrise to sunset, for the whole day, she sat by her wheel spinning. She used to spin the wheel and recite prayers. She used to sing prayers every time. Only in the afternoon she relaxed for a while to feed the sparrows. Only in afternoon she took rest. She relaxed for a while, for less time to feed the sparrows. And at that time she used to feed the sparrows. As earlier she took to feeding the sparrows, as she was a kind-hearted lady. While she sat in the veranda breaking the bread into little bits, when she used to feed the sparrows at that time, when 2 works are going on simultaneously, while feeding the sparrows, she sat in the veranda breaking the bread into little bits. So she used to break the bread into crumbs. Crumbs means small pieces. Hundreds of little birds collected round her, creating a veritable bedlam of chopping. Hundreds of little birds. When she used to feed the sparrows, hundreds of those little birds, those sparrows, collected around her, and they all created a veritable bedlam, a noisy atmosphere of chirping, because they used to chirp. some came and passed on her legs. Some sparrows used to come and passed. Passed means sit. You have already read this word in the poem Frog and the Nightingale, when it is described that the nightingale passed on a sumac tree. So pass means sit. Some sparrows came and sat on her legs, others on her shoulders. Some even sat on her head. Because she used to feed them, so the sparrows, they were not afraid of the grandmother. They felt very comfortable with her. That's why they used to sit on her legs, on her shoulders, even some on her head. She smiled but never shooed them away. Shoot means just to send them away. She smiled whenever they used to come, the sparrows used to come. She smiled but never shooed them away. But she never shooed those sparrows away from her. It used to be the happiest half hour of the day for her. When she used to feed the sparrows, it was the happiest half hour of the day for her. This line is very important because there will be a question based on this line. The question will be, what was the happiest half an hour of the day for her? So this was the happiest half hour for her when she used to feed the sparrows, and she relaxed even. This shows that she was kind-hearted, she was very nice, because there will be a character sketch of the grandmother. There will be a question based on this. When I decided to go abroad for further studies, I was sure my grandmother would be upset. This is also the third phase, but this is, you can consider it the second part of third phase. Earlier the narrator started going to university for degree course, and now he decided to go abroad for further studies, and even he would be out for 5 years continuously. So when the narrator, he decided to go abroad for further studies, he was sure that his grandmother would be upset, because the grandmother loved her grandson very much. I would be away for 5 years. So the narrator would be away for 5 years. That's why the grandmother would be upset according to him. And at our age, one could never tell. This line also has a deep meaning. At her age, one could never tell. One means anyone. Because the narrator's grandmother was very old, so no one could say at such age that the person would survive or not. The grandmother was also very old, so it was not confirmed whether she would survive or not after his going. So that's why the narrator mentioned it. But my grandmother could. The narrator's grandmother had that feeling that she would survive. She was not even sentimental. So that's why when she went to see him off, she did not become sentimental. She came to leave me at the railway station but did not talk or show any emotion. So she came to leave the narrator at the railway station, but she did not talk or did not show any emotion. She was not emotional at all. She did not show any emotion to him. Her lips moved in prayer. Her mind was lost in prayer. When she went to leave him, when she went to see him off, then her lips, even then, at that time also, her lips moved in prayer. At that time also she was praying, and her mind was lost in prayer. Her fingers were busy telling the beads of her rosary, as she always kept a rosary in her hand. At that time also her fingers were busy in telling the beads of the rosary. Silently she kissed my forehead. So she did not show any emotion. She just silently kissed the forehead of the narrator. And when I left, I cherished the moist imprint as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between us. So she just silently kissed the narrator's forehead, and when he left, he cherished the moist imprint. Moist, here the word moisture comes from moist. Moist means which is wet, which has a moisture. She just silently kissed the forehead of the narrator, and when he left, the narrator cherished, the narrator preserved that moist imprint, that symbol, that moist, that feeling, as perhaps the last sign of physical contact between them. So the narrator, he preserved that feeling, that feeling of moist imprint as the last sign of physical contact between both of them, because she kissed on his forehead, and the narrator kept that feeling in his heart for 5 years, because he was not confirmed about it whether the grandmother would survive or not. There will be a question based on this line: which was the last sign of physical contact between them? But that was not so. After 5 years, I came back home and was met by her at the station. But it was not so. What was not so? As the narrator thought that she would not survive, but it was not so. Even she was alive when the narrator came back. After 5 years, I came back home and was met by her at the station. After 5 years, the narrator came back home, and he was met by the grandmother at the station, because she went there to receive him. She did not look a day older. She was looking the same. She still had no time for words. Even on that day, she had no time for words. On that day, she was not speaking. And on that day also, she was praying. And while she clasped me in her arms, when she hugged him, I could hear her reciting her prayers. I could hear her reciting her prayers. So when she hugged the narrator, at that time also the narrator could hear the reciting of her prayer. That means the grandmother was praying at that time also. On that day also, she did not talk to him. Even on the first day of my arrival, her happiest moments were with her sparrows, whom she fed longer, and with frivolous rebukes. On that day also, when the narrator arrived, when the narrator came back after 5 years, even on that first day of his arrival, her happiest moments were with sparrows, with those sparrows whom she used to feed. She fed longer. Now the grandmother, she used to feed the sparrows for long time, and with frivolous rebukes, and she used to rebuke them just to show. She was not serious about it. She did not scold them seriously, genuinely. So this also shows the quality of the grandmother, that she was very kind-hearted. Even she was very kind to the sparrows, the nature, and she was not so sentimental when the narrator went to abroad, and the narrator was not confirmed whether she would survive or not, but she knew it, because she went to receive the narrator after 5 years to the station. And the narrator, he could feel that the grandmother had no time for talks. On that day also, she was praying, and still her happiest moments were with her sparrows. Okay students, we will continue the same in next video. Thank you.